Hey, welcome back to the Tree Lane YouTube channel. I'm Chelsea. This is episode 4. Is this episode 4? Let me check. This is episode 4 of the Yarn Podcast. My hair's a little shorter since the last time we chatted. My voice is a little more hoarse. I am getting over a cold that I've had since April 16th. And it's now April 20. Oh gosh, it's today the 28th. Yeah, so 12 days of a cold for me. It's so funny. I've been like looking forward to getting more comfortable on camera so I don't have to have as many cuts in these podcast episodes, because it'd be so nice just to sit down and not have a lot of ums. There will be a lot of cuts today just to cover the sound of me coughing. I made an iced latte this morning with oat milk and some homemade brown sugar syrup, and it's really getting me through. I've been so looking forward to filming this episode. I have a lot of fun projects that I'm working on right now. I've been so inspired for summer knitting, and I think the first half of the month I didn't knit that much because I was traveling and then I got sick. So for several days I was too sick to knit. Like I couldn't think straight. So despite those setbacks, I have made a lot of progress on the stuff that I'm working on right now. So I'm hoping to kind of finish everything up in the next few days. So the first half of the month I traveled to New York City. As promised, I did string a few clips together into a very incoherent vlog, but we visited so many fun yarn stores while we were there, while I was there. My friends lived there. I didn't buy very much, which I was really proud of myself, but it was funny because there were about 4 yarn pre-order launches while I was there and I think I ordered from 2 or 3 of them, I can't remember. So that's kind of like what I spent my money on while I was in New York. So I didn't get too much from the stores that we went to, but the things I did find are really special and I'm really excited about them. So I also can't wait to show you what I got. I guess that leads us into finished objects, which I am wearing my first one. This is my Louisiana sweater from Petite Knit. I finished it really quickly. I think I have the dates in my journal. Louisiana sweater. So this took me 2 weeks and 1 day to knit, which I'm pretty proud of that. I mean, you can kind of see, because you can see all the stitches close up, it's quite bulky yarn and it's like a really cropped length. So let's see if I can back up a little bit in my chair. Here she is, completely finished. I love this sweater. I have been wearing it so much. I wear it even more than my novice sweater. I just think the fit is really fun, and I really like, even though it makes me look like all pale, I really like this color. I'm more of a beige person than a gray person, so this is just one I've reached for more. So I knit this with Drops Wish, which is a bulky yarn, I think, or maybe just chunky. I think it's a weight 5. And it hasn't been itchy for me at all, which is good, because my novice sweater, which I knit with Drops Air, was a little itchy to me, but this one I haven't had any issues with. And you might have seen I was just like rolling up the sleeve, so I kind of like, the ribbing turned out the perfect diameter for my arm, because it kind of hooks into my elbow here and stays put, but I can also pull it down over my hands, which I always like to do that too. I ordered 8 balls of Drops Wish, which I thought would be plenty for this sweater. I started running low towards the end of the body of the sweater. I went to do the cast off with like a few lengths, or the bind off, sorry, with a few lengths of yarn. Like it was a really long tail. Like that's all I had left. And it was on the last ball. I cast off, or I bound off quite tightly, I feel like, or at least the last like 20 stitches, because I was getting so nervous. And I finished the bind off with 3 inches of yarn left. That's how much of a tail I had to weave in, which it was okay, because it's like I said, it's quite bulky, so it just kind of like falls in there. It's not too hard to weave in the ends when it's that wide, but oh man, I was stressed. I thought I was not gonna have enough, and then I'd have to like rip back a few rows and have uneven, you know, rib length, but it turned out, and I'm really happy with it. I almost want to make another one with a larger needle, just because I feel like this would be even cuter, like a little more gappy, like a summer, maybe. Do they make like chunky cotton wool blends? I don't know, because I feel like that'd be really fun to like have a longer length and like slightly gappier fabric as like a summer sweater, because I don't know if I can put the picture in, or maybe I have it printed out. Get into my little pattern wallet here. Yeah, so in the pattern, you can see she's like wearing it at the beach, which is like what I want to do. I kind of want to make it in like a bigger needle size so it's a little airier, you know, let the breeze flow through. Maybe not anytime soon, but like this was super quick to knit up and it was really fun, so maybe soon, I don't know, but I definitely want to make another one. I'm like looking at myself in the mirror over here. But yeah, I really like it. So that's my first finished object for April. I have a total of 2. Like I said, the only real knitting I got done on my trip was on the plane, and then just a few pockets of time here and there. But when I show the things I bought in New York, I'll talk a little bit more about that. My second finished object is my finished socks. Here they are, which you guys helped me design. In my last podcast, I kind of did a little poll, if you will, about what colors to do for the accents on these socks, because I had this accent color in this Alpine green and then in this Birch, and I knew I wanted to use them both, but I didn't know how, and I ended up going with doing the green on the toe and the cuff, because I realized that like when I looked down at my feet, I wanted to be able to see the green with the cedar berries color. And I think I mentioned this in my New York vlog, so sorry if you watched that and are hearing a repeat. I had said also in my podcast I wanted to do a 3x1 rib. That was a total lie. Once I started doing it, I did about 20 rounds of the 3x1 before I realized that wasn't the look that I had in mind. So what I had actually envisioned is a 7x1. So it's 7 knit stitches with 1 purl stitch, and it makes this really nice wide rib. So it's like got the ribbing down the leg and then on the top half of the foot. And then a 2x2 cuff, which has become my preferred way to do the cuff. I just like the look of it better than the 1x1, and my 2x2 usually looks a little bit neater than my 1x1. Oops, I've got an end sticking out here. They're really a kind of fall wintry vibe. I mean, I will keep wearing them because I think they're really pretty, but I think once I start making some more summer socks and short socks, which I really want to make soon, I probably will kind of save these more for fall and winter. Just these, I feel like these are my most like professional looking socks. Like, okay, I've just had a moment like looking in the camera like I made these. What? They're so cute. The joys of knitting. Constantly giving, constantly giving. So yeah, I only have 2 finished objects this month. I wanted to have a lot more, obviously, but I'm not too worried about it. And I have a lot of WIPS to go through, so we should just dive into that right now. We can chat about my camisole number 2, since I was working on that one in my last podcast. It was just a tube back then, and now it's a tube with a front. It's comically small when you're knitting it up. Like, it looks like a Barbie dress or American Girl doll dress. The body was a slog. Absolutely. It was so, it's just tiring to do, what is this, 3x3 rib, I think, on such tiny needles. This is a mess, wow. But once I got to the kind of cups, I guess, on the front, it became really fun. So you can kind of see the decreases that I did, like, and it's been such a like pleasure to make this because I've looked at pictures of the pattern for so long, and to see like my work become like the item I've been ogling for the last several months is really exciting. So this is actually going to wrap up quick because each front piece kind of takes me like an hour, hour and a half. So I'm like just a little more than 2 hours away from finishing this thing, because I think the back is knit up just about the same as the front but with longer straps. This strap is done in the front. This one I have to do about 5 more centimeters on. And I actually tried this on last night and it's looking so good. This is knit with Barnyard knits, fingering, I think it's a sock yarn actually, in coffee beans, which for a little bit I was getting worried that the kind of lighter streaks would look like I had just like got deodorant on the tank top, but I think it's throughout enough that it just looks like a nice little, not a variegated tonal, but there's a lot of depth to the color, so I'm really happy with how that's turning out. And now that I'm almost at the other side of it, I can't wait to make another one. Like, I absolutely will. And the funny thing is, so this is supposed to be quite a bit longer. This is a cropped version. Let's see if I can like show you. It's gonna be about It comes to like just like the center of my midriff kind of. But this is not a good representation because it looks so small, but in my last podcast I mentioned that I was not gonna have enough yarn. When I did about 18 centimeters of the body, I started getting worried because I've never knit this pattern before. I have no semblance of how much yarn the top would take. So I stopped doing the body to do the top, and the top is not going to take that much yarn, and I have quite a bit of my cake left. So I think I could have gotten away with a few more centimeters of the body. It's still a cute length, and I'll definitely wear it. I think it will probably work with high-waisted shorts or something for the summer. My next one, I definitely want to make it full length, so I think the next one I'll try in like a cotton blend or a silk blend just for some variety, but I totally want to make it again. The only issue that I had with the pattern so far was picking up the center stitch for the right side front, and I haven't been able to find any videos or anything helpful about how to do that. So if you have knit camisole number 2, one of my favorite things, I would love to hear from you if you understood how to pick up the center stitch from the front. And I also think like I might have messed up a little bit on the left side. So these straps are going to be sisters, not twins, but I don't think it will be that noticeable. Yeah, I think I'm just a few hours away from finishing this, which will be so exciting because it's been on my needles forever. I don't know what day I started this. March 11th. So it's been about a month and a half. So yeah, I was going to do 25 centimeters of the body. I ended up doing 18, but it's fine. It will turn out cute. I'll have a little bit of yarn left over. I don't know what. We'll see. We'll see. Enough about that. That's how it's going. It's going great. Can't wait to wrap it up. So what are my next works in progress? I think everything else is new, which is so fun. Since I finished up my Cedar Berries socks, I started a new sock project, which I've shown the yarn on here before, but obviously now it's getting worked up. It's a completely new experience. But here is what we have so far. I'm making just a pair of vanilla socks with a stockinette body, which is zipping by. I'm so excited. In Olivia and Oliver Fibers Pixie Dust colorway, which is like a very Eastery and pastel. The camera's making it look a little funky, but it's got, you know, some blues, pinks. It's got every color in the rainbow. Pink, yellow, okay, almost. Greens, blues, periwinkle, lilac, peach, like it's a full spectrum pastel rainbow. And the accent colorway is Desert Rose. These came in a sock set. They look totally dreamy together. That's a better representation of the color, I think. So I think on these guys I did, yeah, I think I did a 15 row cuff on these guys, and I did a 20 row cuff on this one. Just mixing it up a little because why not? And so for this one, I don't love changing color at the heel as much, so I think this one I'm just gonna do this cuff pink and the toe pink, and then have the rest just be the little multicolored pixie dust color. So these are gonna be absolutely dreamy. Like I said, I'm really happy to have just a full stockinette body, because that, like, the Cedar Berries socks, having to like remember to get that 7th stitch, or to have the 8th stitch be the purl, I was just like, it kind of messed with my tension a little bit. And like, even though the design turned out exactly how I wanted, it's just nice to have a little break to do something a little simpler. I mean, I hope you guys know what I mean. Like, 7x1 ribbing is not, it's still simple, but like when you can just do stockinette the whole way through, you just fly. So that is my next work in progress, and it's just turning out really cute. So I think I'm gonna, hopefully I'll work quickly on these because I'm so excited about how the yarn is knitting up. And I just cast it on 2 days ago, I think, so that's where I am so far. All right, my next one, I am really excited about this top. I've been talking about it for what feels like months, but I'm making Friday knits. I mean, there's not much to see yet, but this is the humble beginning of Friday Knits Sweetheart Ribbed Top in my Barnyard Knits Cabin in the Snow colorway. So this is the yarn in its 2 little cakes. The colors in here are so insane, and don't go dark on me. They are so fun to knit up. Hopefully you can see just the sheer number of colors in this yarn, and the fact that it's like a little bit ivory and gray, and can I even get close enough? Like, whew. So these are both held double. In the pattern, Phoebe says that she did one center pull and one pull from the outside. So like she held two together from the same ball of yarn. I've done that before for socks and it kind of stressed me out a little bit, like keeping everything, not getting everything tangled. What I did was I caked up my skein of yarn and did a little trick I saw on the internet. I think it was Nitty Natty again, who I get all my knitting tricks from. I put my one cake on a kitchen scale and then started winding it into a second ball of yarn. And once the kitchen scale said that it was half the weight, I stopped winding and cut it into two. So these are two 53-gram balls of yarn that I'm holding together. That makes kind of a DK light worsted weight. And so this tank top is a 2x2 rib tank top, and then it has a little like sweetheart neckline that I think is shaped with short rows, which should be interesting because I get the short row concept. I've done kind of simplified short rows on socks, but not like where you pull up. I don't know that I've technically done short rows the proper way, so that ought to be interesting. This, like holding this yarn double with the 2x2 rib, the fabric is turning out so squishy, and like I just feel so much joy when I'm working on this. I put it on my Licca or Luca needles, and I think it's using a size 5. There's definitely a little bit of drag with this yarn on the needles, but I don't mind, and honestly, like, my needles look really cute with this yarn because it's like a kind of driftwood color. I have the Licca needle set in the umber colorway, so it's just this really nice variation of like browns and tans and just a very natural look, which I feel like is a really great fit for this project. Kind of in the same way that I like match my stitch markers to my projects, I kind of decided to match my needles to this project. That is my next WIP that I'm really excited about, and we'll see how quickly it works up. I just wanted to get it going kind of while I finished up the camisole number 2 because I wanted to get something else ready to go. It's kind of how I arrange my projects. Like, I like having casting on is the hardest part, so if I'm getting close to finishing up a project, I will cast on the next one just to have that part out of the way so that when I do wrap up my project, my second one is already on the needles and ready to start. I think I will make this one a little bit longer than the pattern suggests because it is a cropped tank top, and I have plenty of yarn for this one. I have 200 grams of the same color, so definitely won't run out. And I just want to make sure it's like meets the waistband of like my pants. I'm not really a midriff type of girl, so I'll be trying this one on as I go as well to see kind of where I want it to end up. But so that is my next work in progress. Do I just have one more after this? I think so. My next one, which I think is the last one that I cast on, I've shown has been really fun, and actually this will be a great segue into my acquisitions because I'm using some yarn that I bought in New York City to make Tori Knits Manhattan beanie, which I just thought would be a perfect fit for the yarn that I got in Manhattan to make the Manhattan beanie with. And it is this incredible yarn from Creo in the color Fairy Floss, and it's an Aran weight yarn, really squishy, and just I hope that the camera is showing the nuance of this color because there's blue and pink and peach with all these like amazing deep chocolate speckles. Oh, this lighting is sad, but I guess you can kind of appreciate it still, I guess, from here where it's a little lighter. But in person, I hope this is translating. It's so stunning in person. So I've just set this has been working up really quickly. Like I said, it's an Aran weight yarn, and I've just set myself up to do the crown decreases. So I'm making the single brim fold because this yarn is so squishy. I think anything else would be a little, I shouldn't do this. Oh, it's so cute. I think doing the double brim, sorry hair. I think doing the double brim would be a little overkill. I'll try to insert a picture of the Manhattan beanie because the crown looks so cool. It's very similar to a pattern that Petite Knit has, but I just wanted to diversify my pattern library a little bit, so I decided to get this one instead of the Petite Knit one, which I also feel like the Petite Knit one might be like a DK weight yarn, and mine was quite a bit thicker than that, so I wanted to try and find something that would have a similar style but be a better fit for the weight of yarn that I got. And so far Tori's pattern has been awesome, really easy to follow. My ribbing just looks wonderful. Like, I'm really impressed with myself. Ugh, I've been loving, I always reach for this. Like, anytime I need a project to work on, I'm just like, oh yeah, I want to work on my Manhattan hat. This yarn is so squishy and like a little bit, has a little sheen to it. It's just so good. And I learned how to do a tubular cast on. So cool. Like, it literally looks like you started knitting out of nowhere. I can't believe I tackled this technique and nailed it. It was challenging, to be sure, but it looks so nice. So I watched Berry Pink Knit's tutorial on the tubular cast on. Actually, I watched a few because, or I think that's the one that was the most useful to me because I think you have to do it totally differently when you do it in the round. Somehow 4 rows of stockinette turns into this really nice tubular ribbed cuff. I had a little bit of trouble here, but once I weave in that end, but after the hat's done and the end is woven in, there should be no problem. So I'm just about to dip into my second skein to finish up the crown. That is the Manhattan Beanie by Tori Knits. It's been so fun to knit up. I've been getting a lot more confident in my knitting skills, like doing this tubular cast on and on the camisole number 1, like, you know, just going from working in the round to working only the front piece and like just learning some new terminology and techniques. I'm starting to get the feeling that like I can do anything. And it's so satisfying because, again, there's just so many projects that I want to make, and I'll talk about that a little bit at the end, but so many fun projects coming up. So those are all the works in progress I have right now. Oh my gosh, no, it's not. Stop. I can't believe I almost left you guys hanging. I knew I had one more, and now we get the pièce de résistance. I have been making wonderful progress on my sweater number 1, and I'm just in love. Okay, here it is. This is my Favorite Things Knitwear's pattern for sweater number 1 in Olivia and Oliver Fibers Antique Rose Suri Silk. Suri Silk. Olivia and Oliver Fibers Suri Silk in Antique Rose, held together with Knitting for Olive's Soft Silk Mohair in Dusty Rose. So here they both are. And they have become this. And I'm just in love with this piece. The little half sleeve, half balloon sleeve, just, what can I say? I'm so excited for this to be done. We're getting there. I only need about 3 or 4 more centimeters of the body before I start the ribbing, and then just wrapping up the second sleeve. So this one should be done in the next few days as well. And I can't wait to wear it. I haven't tried it on since the sleeve has been done, but I tried it on in the middle of it, and it just, the color is so pretty, and the Suri is just so soft. I don't think I had started this in my last podcast, and so just to see it like coming together so wonderfully, I'm so excited. I knew I had one more work in progress, but it wasn't, it was like right over the side of my coffee table, so I couldn't quite see the bag. My raglan stitches turned out really well. I've been pretty happy with my tension so far. There's a couple rows, like you can kind of see in the middle right here, where I had a little like laddering accident, but I kind of like, I wish it wasn't in the front and center, but that's okay because the rest of the sweater looks so beautiful. Who's really gonna notice? Since I'm not alternating skeins, I was trying to like keep a really close watch on color pooling, but I've been knitting this while watching movies, the body at least, so I didn't quite catch, how do I hold this up? There we go. I didn't quite catch this kind of like deep mauve streak in here, but I don't think it's that bad, and it must have happened while I was watching Gabriella sing Gotta Go My Own Way and breaking up with Troy, which, you know, I couldn't see through my tears anyway. The fabric is draping so nicely. It's so fluffy and squishy and soft, and I cannot wait to put this on my body. I feel like it's probably going to be a little itchy to me, but I won't care. I'll wear it every day because I'm so jazzed about how this is working up. Oh, I do have a little story to tell. I bound off the sleeve so tightly, and undoing a tight bind off with mohair and Suri, not fun. I was surprised how quickly it went by, because I guess the circumference of this sleeve, I just realized I think I said diameter earlier in the podcast when I was talking about circumference. That's embarrassing. The circumference of the sleeve is really small, so I guess that's why it didn't take too long, but it was challenging. Oh my gosh. I think I dropped one of the strands somewhere in here, but I think it will bind together enough not to unravel. And now it's no problem, like I can get my whole arm in there. That was so stressful because I thought that, like, I don't know what I thought. Like, I was doing a tubular bind off, I believe. And so I thought that like every stitch should be like tightened up because it was going to be a loose bind off, but that absolutely didn't happen. And so ripping this back was really challenging. And I've never done that before. I've never bound anything off too tight. So that was a nice little learning experience. And now I know to definitely not do that on the other side. So I actually think I'm not going to break into my third skein of the Suri silk. I think this will be enough to finish the body and the sleeve. I've got one more of the Knitting for Olive balls, so I'll probably end up using that one. I think. We'll see. So this has been the thing that I've been enjoying the most. I mean, like I said, all of these projects have just been bringing me so much joy. Like, I have so been loving knitting this up. The Sweetheart rib top, the Manhattan hat, and my little Pixie socks. They've all just been so much fun, and so much of that is a testament to these amazing yarn dyers. Olivia and Oliver Fibers, one of my absolute favorite. She's so talented. Her colors are so on brand for me, so I kind of feel like she's my kindred spirit in the yarn dyeing world. So I really love her and how this is working up. It makes yarn dyers make knitting pretty things so easy, and I couldn't be more thankful for them. Those are truly all my works in progress. I cannot wait for all of them to be finished up and added to my hand knit wardrobe, which is slowly growing one by one every day, and will continue to do so with my acquisitions. Like I mentioned, for my Manhattan hat, I'm about to break into the second skein of yarn I bought in New York, so I can show that in hank form, which is fun. One of the shops that my friend Adriana and I went to a lot in New York was Knitty City, which is on the Upper West Side, and it was by far my favorite store that we went to. Everyone in there was just so lovely and helpful, and especially for Adriana, because she just started knitting while I was there. She decided she wanted to learn, and so she bought a really chunky Malabrigo yarn in a really nice mauve color, which you can see in my New York vlog if you haven't already watched that. They were just like, I still don't know a lot about knitting, so you know, like when it comes to picking out like yarn for patterns, I don't always know what will work for one thing and might not work for another, so they were really helpful to Adriana for all the questions that we had about her starting her project. We went to Knitty City 3 times while I was in New York, 2 days back to back, and then on my last day that I was there. So I got this yarn by Creo. The color is called Fairy Floss. Again, you saw this knitted up in my Manhattan beanie, but I had never seen a color like this before. Like, here's kind of the peachy tones, here's kind of the grays, and then like the mauves, and also some blue. And there's lots of like really deep speckles, and I was just so drawn to this unique shade. And when I'm traveling, I usually get everything, you know, like the odd skein here or there, like I get everything in fingering weight to make socks. But Adriana was so focused on hats on this trip that I started wanting to make hats too. So that's why I got this in the Aran weight, and it's like, I already raved about it when I was making the hat, but it's so squishy and soft, and they have this available online still. Creo does, so if you want to pick one up, they are still available. So again, this is called Fairy Floss, which I was just such a whimsical name, I had to get it. The other thing that I bought at Knitty City was a little mini Emma Yarns hank in After Dark. This is a sock yarn, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. I had a really funny conversation with Brandy from Long Dog Yarn on Instagram, because last month I showed this yarn for her Lord of the Rings club, and it's called Durin's Bane, and I really wanted like a dark gray for the accent color for these socks, Brandy posted, she was knitting up socks with the exact accent color that I had imagined to go with this. And I was like, oh my, I messaged her and I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I had in mind to make these socks with. And she was like, oh yeah, I couldn't find like deep charcoal yarn to go with this, so I had to dye it up custom for myself. And I was like, must be nice. Can you imagine having a yarn and not having the exact right thing to pair it with and just being like, oh, let me just make this? Like, what luxury. So I found this charcoal color to go with this really deep burgundy Lord of the Rings yarn. And this one, if you guys caught my last podcast, Copy Callie taught me all about ply when I was wondering why this looked so different from my twist sock yarn from Long Dong Yarn. And she said this one, oh gosh, I'm not gonna remember. I think this one has more plies. Is this like a 4 ply or an 8? No, 8 ply. And then this one is a 4 ply, which is like looser. So I think that's okay to pair those together. I don't know. Somebody tell me. I mean, I think it would just be like change the look a little bit, but I think they will still work together. So I won't cast these on for a while because I'm low key like wanting to collect the entire Lord of the Rings collection and take a picture of them all together before I unravel them or before I unwind them. So anyway, so I just got this little guy at Nitty City, which was sitting in a basket waiting for me. So that was a great vibe. And then what else did I get? I got a Notion, I think it was at Nitty City. I got the Knitting Barber cords for putting stitches on hold, and I just got this little brown color and I was really excited to use them, so I tried to use them on my camisole number 2 for the back stitches, but these were way too thick for the fingering yarn on 3mm needles, I think those are, and so that did not work out. So I think I might try this on a project with larger yarn, or larger needles at least. Yeah, I've seen a lot about these cords, so far I've just been using scrap yarn to put my stitches on hold, and I really like doing that. Oh, and the Kinetic Knitter, I think, posted on her Instagram story recently that, what did she do? I think she literally like threaded scrap yarn through, do I have an example? On knitting needles, interchangeables at least, they have this little hole for you to do the cable key to tighten the needles with. And I think she actually like put scrap yarn through that hole and then knit the row and took the needles off. Like, it genius. Absolutely genius. So yeah, anyway, I usually do scrap yarn, which so far is my preferred method, but I'm looking forward to trying these out on a project with larger needles. Those were the things that I got from Nitty City. Another store we went to, the other store I went to that I bought things from was Brooklyn General Store, which was a really special place, and I knew, like, I really wanted to get something special from there, but nothing on the shelves was speaking to me. They have a ton of La Bien Aimée, which I've been like growing more and more obsessed with by the day, which are slightly higher priced than most hand-dyed yarn hanks. None of the colors were speaking to me in terms of projects. Like, I really try to have something in mind when I buy yarn, and I just didn't. So I went around the whole store, and we went slightly, I mean, maybe like 20 or 30 minutes before it was closing, so we didn't have a ton of time, but we were just about to leave and I had not chosen anything to buy. And then I found this, a Cory Confetti yarn by La Bien Aimée. And I think I've only heard one person pronounce this name, so hopefully La Bien Aimée is correct. But it is a one-of-a-kind limited edition yarn comprised of a mix of recycled natural fibers that include upcycled La Bien Aimée yarn and custom-dyed Falkland Corriedale. So I think Falkland Corriedale would be the type of sheep that this yarn came from. So it's 50% Corriedale, 30% natural recycled fibers, and 20% La Bien Aimée recycled threads. I think in my first video, my Portland vlog, I think I talked about Hedgehog Fibers tweed yarn, which is kind of a similar concept. They take yarn, recycled yarn from their other colorways and mix them into a tweed. And I've never had a tweed yarn before, but this one I just thought would make the cutest hat. So it's 250 yards of a worsted weight, and I just thought, I saw this and I was like, oh, I have got to make a hat out of this. So this is kind of a little treat for myself, but I just love all the shades in here. It's like, you know, birthday cake on a gray base, but still birthday cake inspired. And I mean, the logo's so cute. Everything about this yarn was so cute. It was all alone on a shelf high above the rest. And I saw it and I was like, you're coming home with me. So that was a really special purchase. On my way out, I saw they had elastic thread there, which I don't have, and I'm planning to put in this sweater, maybe my novice sweater, just to keep the neckband shapely. So these are the two things that I got at Brooklyn General Store. Like I said, I was very good. Oh, one more thing. I found also on my trip, I was looking for a mohair to pair with this Wandering Flock yarn that I've already had. It's in pistachio cream. It's this really nice light green minty color with some brown and yellow speckles. And lo and behold, at a shop called West Village Knit and Needle in the West Village in New York City, I found this. Oh yeah, here's the label. Lana Grassa silk hair in the color 140, which in my internet research is called white green, which is basically exactly what I needed. It's 70% mohair, 30% silk. And so I bought one skein. That's all I had at the store, just to do a color swatch, because as you can see, it's a bit more of a sage green than the minty green, but it's still a really light color. And so I knit up a swatch while I was in New York and just loved the way that it turned out. So I think that's going to be a great fit, these two yarns. I just feel like it brings everything together in a really nice way. I don't know if you can see, but like once the strands are like next to each other, they really do look like quite similar colors and stringy. So yeah, I'm really happy that I found that. And that, well, the funny thing about mohair is that when it is in ball form altogether, it's so much darker than it is worked up, because all the color, you know, on top of each other like really deepens it. So this ball looks way darker than a single strand of the mohair. And when it's in the swatch, which is in my hand, Chelsea, when it's in the swatch, the mohair virtually becomes invisible. Wow. I thought I was gonna have one coughing fit while I was filming, so I just came back, all's well. I had a cough drop, everything's fine. Anyway, so once the strand's on its own or worked up with the other yarn, it's quite a bit lighter and it's virtually invisible. So I'm really happy that I found that pairing. Now the only problem is finding 5 balls of this in stock somewhere. So for some reason this colorway is quite rare, so that will be an adventure on its own. This was the only purchase I made at West Village and Needle. They had quite a limited selection because a lot of their shop is focused on embroidery or needle, not cross stitch, needlepoint. Yes, needlepoint. So they have kind of a limited yarn selection and a lot of needlepoint accessories and threads and stuff, which I do think would be really fun to get into. So maybe later this summer. So sorry, you can tell my voice is starting to get tired out. We're almost at the end. So let's jump through my last few acquisitions. If you bought April's colorway from Long John Yarn's Lord of the Rings collection and haven't seen it yet, skip ahead 2 minutes because I'm about to show it right now. My next acquisition is Long Dog Yarn's Lord of the Rings club for April, which is inspired by Lothlorien in the movies. And sadly, so I got the bounce sock base, and Brandy is moving right now, so she had a little brain spasm and forgot to put the Lord of the Rings logos on the Lord of the Rings yarn, so that was too bad. But the colorway turned out gorgeous anyway. It's this amazing deep blue color with some purple in it and some speckles. This will make a gorgeous pair of socks. This is not a color that I've had. I mean, none of these Lord of the Rings colors are colors that I would normally purchase, but that's what makes them so special. And I can literally like see the, you know, I can see the movies playing as I see the colors of these yarns. So this was excitingly beautiful and I can't wait to knit this up sometime. And my next purchase was really fun. This was one of the yarn launches that was taking place while I was in New York. Like I said, I think there were 4 and I will go through all of them, but Sunday Fiber Co., which is one of my other all-time favorite yarn dyers. Like, I mean, of the yarns I purchased, like Sunday Fiber Co., Olivia and Olive, and Yarn Addict Co. are just like up here, like can't be beat. Love them so much. Elise from Sunday Fiber Co. was releasing some special sock sets for Emily Curtis's Almost Argyle sock pattern. Emily Curtis is one of my favorite YouTubers and she's local to the Seattle area, so that's awesome. They kind of in tandem released the sock pattern with this sock set, which is what Emily made her socks with. And it's called, this color is called Stardust with a mermaid as the accent color. And it's a really warm creamy base with all kinds of rainbow speckles. There's red and orange and blue and yellow. Maybe that might be all, maybe some like deeper purples in there. So it's 80% organic merino wool, 20% nylon, eco superwash. I still haven't looked into what that means. So I bought Emily's pattern and this sock set because, like I said, Emily's one of my favorite YouTubers, so I want to have socks exactly like she does. And that'll be one of my first pair, I think, with like any kind of detail on the sock that's not just a vanilla sock. So I'm a little nervous, but it will be worth it because this yarn is so pretty and the sock pattern looks awesome. So that was the yarn launch that I had to wait for, that I had to log on like exactly at 1 p.m. in New York and snagged one of these, and it already came, so that's fun. One of the other yarn launches that happened while I was there was an Explore Knits and Fibers shop update. I've never tried Explore Knits yarns before and knew I wanted to. I also logged on to that one. I was like a minute or two late on that one because I was just running a little bit behind and my computer was about to die, so I had to plug it in before I could shop, and so I logged on like 1 to 2 minutes late, and because of that I got carjacked. I had planned to get 2 of these Cashmere Caverns sock yarns in Karma Chameleon. Did not even notice after I checked out that I only had 1. It was gonna be a really cute shirt, but now it's gonna be a really cute tank top. I think anyway. So this base is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. Again, the color's Karma Chameleon, and it's like got these turquoise colors, coral colors, some baby blues and purples and yellows, and just this really mix of like kind of vibrant pastels. And this, I was just really drawn to this color because, again, like I always try and find something that's like I've never really seen before, and this one was really unique to me. So yeah, I got 2, and by the time I checked out I only had 1, and I think somebody else received their order and Allie reposted their story on hers, and I swear she's the one that carjacked me. So I don't know, if you're out there and you got this skein, well, can you give it to me? No, it'll be okay. I really wanted 2, but I only got 1. And the reason I didn't notice was because I picked out this other colorway. So this is her Denali sock base in Desert Bloom. So this one's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. And this Desert Bloom colorway is so pretty. There's so much going on. It's kind of really muted shades that fade into each other really nicely. So I was just gonna make a pair of socks out of these. And because, so I had 1 of these and 1 of these, and when I was checking out, I got the notification that was like, oh no, one item's, you know, no longer in your cart. And I was confused because I still had two listings in my cart, and I was like, oh well, that must be like an error or something. And then like I went to my emails and it was like my total was only $60 instead of $90, and I was like, wait, like did I not get charged for one? Like dumb. And so then I realized the quantities were 1 and 1 instead of 2 and 1, so I was kind of disappointed about that, but whatever I make with these will still be beautiful. They honestly like look kind of good together. I don't know. Yeah, so that was really fun because I haven't had Explore Knits and Fibers before, and she's very popular in the yarn world. If you have been following the drama around her Ireland collection, you know what I mean. So that was another one of the launches that I shopped, and then the other 2 I have not received yarn for yet, so, or maybe only 1. Paisley Knits, I don't know how to pronounce it because I always thought that it was Paisley, but there's no I, so it's P-A-S-L-E-Y Knits, and the dyer's name is Nicole or Coley, and she's in Vancouver, which is really close to me. She launched a collection called the Japan Collection, which I have no emotional attachment to Japan. Like, it looks like a really amazing place to visit. I've never been. So her collection was kind of the first collection that I've felt like oh my gosh, I need every color. That's never happened to me before with a yarn pre-order collection. There's usually like 1 or 2 colorways that I'm interested in or just feel ambivalent about the whole thing. Just to give you an example, like Sewrella Yarn's Knitflix collection, there was like 2 colors that I was really drawn to because I was emotionally connected to the backstory. So the You've Got Mail yarn, not only is it an exquisitely beautiful colorway, but that's one of my top 5 movies of all time. I could watch it every day. I was like emotionally attached to the You've Got Mail yarn, had to buy it. And then the other one was called Coffee, inspired by Jerry Seinfeld's TV show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which I don't watch religiously, but I love coffee and I really like that show. So that was another one I had to have. But then on the other end of the spectrum, like Explore Knits Ireland collection, like I loved and appreciated all the colors, but didn't feel the need to have any in my life. So I sat out that pre-order. But to get back to Paisley Knits, every single colorway in this collection, I was like, wow, I have got to own that. So when I was putting my wish list together, everything I wanted from the collection, it was like $1,000. And I was like, not gonna happen. Don't have the money. Like, that's just not possible. And so I had a really hard time narrowing everything down because everything I took something off my wish list, I was like, I had to like mourn that project loss. Like, there was this color called Backpack. It's like this perfect meadow butter yellow that I was about to order like 8 skeins of it, and I was just like, you know what, I cannot do this to my wallet. So what really captivated me was the tonals in that collection. Once I like talked myself down out of these like $1,000 purchases, I was like, okay, well, I'll just get one. I would like to get one set of every tonal, so it's like 5 skeins. But I could not find a pattern that I was interested in making that used that many colors. And then on the last day of the pre-order, I was scrolling Instagram and had a suggested post of this sweater. I'll try and put it up somewhere on the screen. But I was like, that's it. So I bought a set of the tonals in the mohair base. I really wanted Suri. I really prefer working with Suri to mohair, but I was worried about the yardage. The Suri has about 100 yards less of each color than the mohair, and I really didn't want to run out when making this sweater. So that's what I ordered, and I'm gonna make the sorbet sweater with it. Probably just using the colors that she had, like the order that she has them in, with the gray, I don't remember the names of the colors, but the gray for the trim, I guess, the collar and the sleeve cuffs and the bottom. And so that's going to be a summer project of mine. Whenever my yarn gets here, I feel like I'll be tempted to just drop everything and start that project because I think it will be so pretty. Based on how much I've been loving knitting my sweater number 1, I really enjoy working with only mohair or only Suri. So I am so excited about that project. So that was the pre-order. Was there any other? Maybe it was just 3 launches that I sat through. Because I don't think I have any other orders coming in, which, whew. Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, I think I'm anticipating Olive and Olivia's shop update on May 6th, which you should shop that too. Yeah, so that's the yarn I ordered. That's what I did when I was in New York. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of my plan. That's where we're at with the plans right now. So I can't wait to make, that's the sorbet sweater. As we're getting into summer, I've been seeing so much on Instagram about short socks, which people nickname shorties. And I've been really interested in making some of those. So I really want to make some like quarter length socks. And I really want to get some just like plain colored sock yarn from either like Drops or Hobby or something like that. And just make a bunch of little like quarter socks. I think it'd be really cute to do just like a little, like this much of like 2x2 rib and then just go straight into the foot. I think those would be really cute. And then I've also been looking into like ruffle socks, which I thought would be really hard, but like everything in knitting, once you start digging into it and like looking up how to do something, it's not that hard. It's really simple. So I found this cute little, I found this website that was like, here's how to do a ruffle. And you literally cast on, like, so simple. You cast on twice the number of stitches as the circumference of the leg. So I make a 64 stitch sock. So double that is 128. So you cast on 128 stitches, do a round of purls, and then do a round of stockinette. It's like a few rounds of stockinette. Okay, just to give her a shout out, it's haveayarn.ca, and she literally just gives a little tiny tidbit of how to do a ruffle cuff on a sock. Cast on double the amount of stitches, do a purl row, do a knit row, and then do a decrease. So yeah. So cast on, let's try this again. Cast on twice the amount of stitches, purl a row, and then for an adult sock, knit a few rows, like maybe 4 or 5, I don't know, and then knit 2 together on every stitch the next row, and then start doing your cuff. So I'm like desperate to try this immediately. I don't know what socks I'll do them with, but my next pair of socks I'm absolutely doing a ruffle. I cannot wait to try that. And then after I wrap up my sweater number 1, the next project that I'm casting on is going to be the Rubus blouse by Refined Knitwear. It has this really beautiful square neckline, which I'm really into. And then after I finish up the bralette, the camisole number 2, and the bralette, then I'm going to be casting on the Anchors tee, which I'm really excited about because I want to be able to wear it this spring and summer. That's what I know so far. So those are kind of my upcoming projects, plus this hat I want to probably work on at some point, maybe after I finish the Manhattan hat. I guess I can just show, for the Rubus blouse, I'm using the Knitting for Olive Dusty Olive color in the soft silk mohair. So I think that will be nice. And then I'm also really excited to cast on, shoot, what is the name of it? It's, oh, the Hipster Hat by Petite Knit. I have 4 balls of this Millamia Aran yarn in this great grass green color. I don't know the name of it. Emerald. There we go. So I think that will be a really cute hat. This color is like big trending right now, so I'm really excited to cast that on as well. And wow, I feel like I've been recording forever. I think that's about it. I desperately need to go rest my voice now, so I apologize if this was like grating for you to hear. We can end this on a little bit of an amusing note because I had an epiphany over this month I found slightly amusing. Everything that I have knit up to this point has been a row longer than it should have been. And I say this because I just realized that the row that is on the needles is a row. The loops that are sitting on my needles are counted as a row. I don't know why I did not realize this before. But I was watching a video and I was watching somebody count their stitches and they're like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I was like, what? And like, I just thought of these as loops on my needles. I had no, that is the row I just finished. It doesn't mean anything because everything I've made, I've counted that way, just up until the needle. But like every sock I've made has not a 20 round cuff, but a 21 round cuff. Every sleeve I've made, if I had, you know, 75 rows, they all have 76 rows. Which, like, it's funny because they would obviously match because that's how I would count both sleeves. But, and you know, rounds, like, it doesn't really matter, especially like 1. But I just thought it was so funny that I'd never thought of that. And so I really just had an epiphany this month of like, oh, the stitches on my needles count as a row. Everything I've counted up until now, I have counted up until the needle. So I just thought that was funny. Thanks to whoever's video I was watching where you counted your stitches and included the one on the needle. You learn something new every day. Thanks so much for watching this episode. I would love to know what you're working on if you picked up a project while listening to this very long video. Hopefully you did. And I've been discovering so many projects I want to make and would love to discover more. So if you have favorite designers you've found or patterns that you want to make over and over, I would love to hear them. And feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want. Thank you to everyone who has already done so. It's been so fun getting to know everyone via comments and just online interaction. I really like hearing from you, and a lot of you have podcasts also, so it's been really fun to find some new good ones to watch while I keep on knitting up a storm. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.